A year after Britain's historic vote to leave the EU, the country's still wrestling with what Brexit really means. The formal talks over the divorce have already started in Brussels, with Britain's David Davis facing off against the EU's chief negotiator, Michel Barnier. Those discussions will first focus on citizens' rights for EU nationals in the UK, and vice versa, and the up to €100 billion bill for leaving. But still bigger issues need to be resolved in the wake of Prime Minister Theresa May's failure to win a majority at this month's general election. That setback has raised questions about whether Mrs May has the mandate, authority or parliamentary numbers to push through her vision of Brexit, which involves exiting both the EU single market and its customs union. So what are the possible outcomes for the UK? They range from the hardest of hard Brexits to an alternative so soft it looks quite like full EU membership. The chief possibilities include exit without a deal. The UK crashes out of the EU without a divorce agreement. This is what will happen if there's just no progress when the clock on the talks ticks down in March 2019. A basic withdrawal agreement. Britain and the EU agree on a divorce deal, on citizens and money, but not much more. It would leave both sides reliant on WTO rules to access each other's markets. A tariff-free deal that allows free trade in goods but not in services. This could be relatively simple, but could mean big disruptions for the services that account for most of Britain's economy. A wide-ranging deal that covers services as well as goods, but gives a big role for the European Court of Justice and may involve paying more money into the EU's coffers. A customs union agreement. Britain gives up control of setting its own tariffs. This would reduce barriers for manufacturers selling to Europe, but destroy the prospect of trade deals with third countries. And finally, participation in the single market. Britain remains subject to EU rules, including the free movement of people. This is the option that would preserve most of the status quo, but would look to some like just following Brussels' orders. Each of these outcomes would have different consequences for sectors of Britain's economy, such as agriculture and fisheries, manufacturing, finance and other services, and education and research. None would be a choice for Britain alone. Europe also gets a vote. But with less than 2 years before the UK's scheduled exit, both sides would benefit from Britain making up its mind about what it really, really wants.